Hello everybody, welcome to Make a Discourse, and this video is a complete revision of Culture Studies unit, right? So if you're somebody who is preparing for UGC-NET English examination, SET English, GATE English, or any examination, be it, TGT, PGT, or NVS, KVS, right? So you can, revise your culture studies in just a few minutes, right? So we will be talking about the basic things, right? The basics of culture studies, also the most important, our cultural critiques we would be talking about, and also their ideas and the most important books that they have written, right? So yes, and I would be using very easy example to make you understand the ideas better. So let us just start our video. So first, when we talk about the culture studies, we should understand that what is culture. So culture is basically a kind of food that we are eating, the kind of clothes that we are wearing, and the kind of products, or we can say brands, that we use. And those products give us some identity, right? If you're using an iPhone and at the same time there is another person who is using just an Android phone, so there would be difference between the identities of both of these persons. How? Because we think that the people who are using iPhones are considered to be, superior, but the people who are using Android phones are considered to be inferior. So this is how we try to define the identity of the people, right? So this is a kind of identity that we are giving to the people, to the society. So we are judging them. So culture studies is basically, it is kind of reading our culture. It is a kind of reading our culture. It's like you have to do a, critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Means that you have to think about the positive aspects of our culture or of our society, or also the negative aspects, right? That what is happening in our culture. So this is basically a culture studies, and it is a kind of, we can say, site of struggle, because there are various forces that are struggling here, right? I know that if you are a beginner, so it might be a difficult thing for you to understand these things. But when we look at the different concepts of culture studies, then you will realize that actually this is what I'm talking about, right? So basically, culture studies as an academic, discipline, it started in 1930s and 1950s. Just remember the rough timeline, right? So it started in 1930s or 50s, right? And before this triple CS, what is this triple CS? It is the Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies. It is a center which was founded in 1964 Birmingham, right? So after this comes our Leavisite tradition. What is this Leavisite tradition? See, when we read the criticism, in the criticism we read about the modern criticism, in which we have had Victorian criticism, modern criticism. So in the Victorian criticism we had Matthew Arnold, who used to talk about culture. He used to talk about culture, that culture is what? Culture is something. Arnold said that culture is something which is best, that is known and thought in the world. So anything which is, best. So anything which is the best, that is our culture. So according to, Arnold, the best thing that we know till now is the culture. It is a part of our culture, right? And because of this, he has written this book also. The name of that book is this, Culture and Anarchy. Anarchy means chaos. Just consider a situation when there is this word and there is no culture. There is no difference between the elite class and the lower class people. There is no difference between them, and there is anarchy. People are getting mixed. So there are some people like Arnold who thinks that this is a kind of, doom, or this is, this is not good for the society. This is not good for the culture. Only the best ideas, the best people, the best thought should dominate and should prevail, right? So this was the idea of Matthew Arnold. So basically, our culture studies has a origin from Matthew Arnold. And if you will look at the PYQs of our UGC-NET English, there you will see that yes, there was the questions on this book, and this book was published in 1869, right? So this fact you have to remember, because this always comes in the chronology questions, right? So basically, our culture has started from our Matthew Arnold. Okay, so this is a kind of lecture which will solve your basics, right? Which will solve your basics. So first we had talked about the Matthew Arnold and his one book, which I already told you. Now, after Arnold, we had T.S. Eliot, who was talking about the culture. How he was talking about the culture? He has written a work which was this, Notes Towards the Definition of Culture, right? He wrote this book, which was published in 1948. Through this, he was kind of defining, he was giving a definition of culture, and according to him, culture is a whole way of life. It's a kind of whole way of life, right? So Arnold thought that the best things should prevail, but T.S. Eliot said that not the best thing, that there should be some, hierarchy. There should be some hierarchy, right? That we cannot mix the people. There should be some, there should be some elite class. Then comes the people who are of lower classes, right? And they should not mix, right? So Arnold said that the best things should prevail, right? But he was kind of against the anarchy, and this T.S. Eliot said that there should be some hierarchy. So these kinds of ideas are now being developed. Now comes our Curie Lewis. So I already told you that in 1930s and 50s it started, right? And after T.S. Eliot and Matthew Arnold, we had this Curie Lewis and F.R. Lewis, right? And basically, here we have this Lewisite tradition. So Curie Lewis is basically a critic who is known for cultural conservatism. What is cultural conservatism? Conservatism means that somebody who is very conservative, somebody who is very, having a very limited outlook towards life, or we can say very limited knowledge and very less open, very strict. So she was a cultural conservatism. So like our Arnold and T.S. Eliot, this Curie Lewis was also, kind of making the things conservative. How? Is that the culture can be defined by defining the literary canons. What is a literary canon? We call canonical works are the works which are very, very, I would say, having the quality. They have some quality, they are very good, right? They are old works that have some values, right? Basically, in our MA or BA programs, we have the literary works that are, provided in our syllabus, in our curriculum. For instance, we have Shakespeare, we have John Milton, we have Alexander Pope, we have Homer, we have Sophocles, right? So these are known as literary canons, right? So she believed that culture is basically the culture of these canonical writers, right? These, the best things, right? So basically, Curie Lewis was all about the cultural conservatism, that culture should be conserved to the literary canons. And there is this, pulp fiction and the mass culture that is destroying this literary canon. I already explained mass culture in my shorts videos. Mass culture is basically, just imagine a situation where there is, production of thousands of Chinese phones. There is a mass production, I would say. Mass production, matlab at the mass level, right? Producing thousands, lakhs. So this is known as mass culture. When our culture is full of mass products like Chinese phones, we have plastics. So this mass culture is inferior and it damages the public taste. So basically, Curie Lewis said that this is very inferior. This does not have any quality. We have like magazines, we have pulp fiction, we have jukeboxes, right? So this is very inferior. They are cheap, they are in the mass produced, right? And they have no quality. And this is why the public taste is getting damaged. And only high culture, the literature, as I told you, the literary canons, the literature, the fine arts, like we have the operas, the theaters, right? Not the street dramas, not the street acts. They are worth studying. So we should only study the best and the qualitative things. We should only study the literary canons. So this you have to remember. And I would also like to mention here one more critique, who is this F.R. Lewis, right? Let us just not leave any topic from the basics. So F.R. Lewis was somebody who also talked of this tradition, and this Curie was the wife of F.R. Lewis, and they both wrote a journal which was Scrutiny, right? Just remember this name and this date if you can, and they co-edited it. So here F.R. Lewis has written a work which was The Great Tradition, right? In this work, The Great Tradition, which was published 1948, he has said that the novelists like we have Jane Austen, I hope you have read them. Jane Austen we have George Eliot, we have Henry James, then we have Joseph Conrad, then we have D.H. Lawrence, and also she later added our Charles Dickens, right? She says that these are the people who are of great tradition. They have a great tradition. Why they have a great tradition? Because they follow what? They follow the, wait a second, because they follow the literary language, they follow the literary and good language, they have the universal themes, they are basically the literary writers, we can say the canonical writers, right? And yes, these are the writers that are very important for our UGC-NET examination also, right? So do not leave these writers, okay? So this is what they both meant by great tradition. So now let me just make you understand what I was talking about till now. So basically for them, culture is something which should be, dominated by the people who are interested in the canonical things, the important things, the best things, the things that have value, the universal feelings, right? So culture should be dominated by the canonical works. We should read the works of Shakespeare, Homer, Dante, right? The culture should be dominated by the elite people, the rich people who have the best ideas, who have the best thought, who have the best resources of the world. So basically for them, this was culture, right? I hope you understand this. Now comes the CCCS, as I told you. CCCS, as I told you, was built in direct rejection of this elitism. I told you that they were the people of this great tradition. They are the people who are more interested in the elite culture, the high culture, okay? But this elitism, CCCS directly rejected this. CCCS says that why only rich people can have culture? Why only we should read the works of Shakespeare and canonical writers? This was basically the idea, right? And before moving to the CCCS, I would also like to talk about the Frankfurt School first. So when it comes to Frankfurt School, it was founded in 1923 and it developed as an institute for social research at the University of Frankfurt, which is in Germany, okay? So just remember this fact. So in the Frankfurt School, we have had these members, the 7 members that you need to remember. There is the PYQ recently on the members. We have Max Horkheimer, who was the director, and Theodor Adorno, Walter Benjamin. We have Herbert Marcuse, Leo Leventhal, and this Erich Fromm. And in the second generation, we have Jürgen Habermas, right? So just remember their names. So basically the people who were associated with the Frankfurt School, their key idea was critical theory. Just remember this word. This is their idea. Critical theory. They said that why only elite people? Why only rich people? Only we should look at the things from the point of view of the rich people, elite people, and what is best. Who are you to tell us that what is best and what is not best? Who are you to tell us? Who are you to decide this? So they had a Marxist approach and they says that no, we should use our mind. We should, we should scrutinize or we should look at this system. This system is corrupt. This system, the rules that they are defining, the rules like these. So whoever the person who is defining these rules, who is laying these rules, that person is, that person should be blamed for this, right? The system is corrupt. We should just deconstruct everything, right? And this is what they call as critical theory, that we should think critically. We should look at the positive things. We should look at the negative things also. right? And because of their revolutionary ideas, their thinking, because of this kind of critical thinking, it was at the time of Hitler. It was at the time of Hitler when Hitler was in the reign. So when the Nazi regime was there, they had to flee from the Germany in 1933 and they settled in the USA. Okay, so just remember this, and this journal you have to remember of the Frankfurt School. Okay, this can be your expected question for the UGC-NET exam. So till now we have talked about the Arnold, we have talked about the T.S. Eliot, we have talked about the great tradition, we can say, of our Q.D. Lewis and of the F.R. Lewis, right? We have talked about the Frankfurt School. Now it is the time that we talk about the Triple CS. Triple CS, for them, culture is, culture is the culture of working class people. For them, working class people are more important. Now, because these people were all, just talking about the elite class, the people who have the power, who have the best ideas. But now this Triple CS was talking in the favor of the working class people, right? Because as we see, this Triple CS, which is the founded in 1964 in University of Birmingham. First, let us just go in the detail of Frankfurt School, like these people and their ideas. Okay, so first we have Theodore Adorno. Now Theodore Adorno is very famous for his work, which is the Dialectic of Enlightenment, right? He has written this work with Horkheimer. Please remember this work. Please remember this work. Okay, this is very important. These kinds of question comes in the chronology questions. And he has also written a book that is Aesthetic Theory, right? And which was dedicated to Samuel Beckett. Very important question. Let us just talk about the key ideas that he has given. So basically in the Dialectic of Enlightenment, Theodore Adorno says that the Enlightenment, in the Enlightenment age, we thought that Enlightenment age will make us modern. It is giving us freedom, right? It is giving us freedom. It will make us modern. It will liberate us from the the bad ideas of the society, from the evil ideas of the society. But enlightenment did us no good. Enlightenment is just fake. There is no enlightenment, right? The society is still the same. We are not truly modern yet. So this enlightenment has become kind of domination and not a liberation, right? So this is what Theodore Adorno says. Theodore says that there is a term which is cultural industry. Culture industry means that there are standardized films, pop music, keep audiences passive and conformist. This is your PYQ of UGC-NET English. Please remember, right? Culture industry means that in our culture, we have different kinds of products which have a standardized form. We have different movies, and all the movies have same kind of plot. We have same starting, same peak, same ending. We have same rules everywhere. You have to like, you have to subscribe, you have to comment. There is a standard, there is a rule that is made, there is a pattern in everything, There's a pattern all around us that we have to follow. You have to give money in the advance to the people, only then you will get the benefit, right? You have to get the subscription of everything now. Nothing is free. So standardized films, pop music, and we are always, passive. We are not thinking actively. We are just consuming the things passively. We are watching the reels on YouTube and shorts on YouTube just passively. We do not think anything and we are just consuming the things. This culture has become an industry now. Like an industry, it is giving us mass production, right? And we have become conformist. What is conformist? Who is conformist? Is the person who conforms, who always says yes, and who has no thinking of his or her own, right? Then he talks about the mass deception, that manufactured desire never truly satisfies like a drug, right? For instance, there would be a product which I will give you, but I will not give you that product 100%, right? I will just give you that product 60%, and I will pursue you to buy that 40% again. For example, that we see, just imagine a condition where I teach you a topic just 60% and I tell you that for the 40% you have to buy my course, right? So this is known as mass deception. This is just an example of mass deception, right? There is a manufactured desire, the desire that I have manufactured in your mind, and you will never get satisfied with this 60%. It is a kind of drug and you have to buy that course, right? So this is mass deception. And like we have a phone. If you are buying a phone, you have to buy a charger also. You have to buy a power bank also. You have to buy a phone cover also. You have to buy the other accessories that are related to a phone. You have to recharge your phone also. So this is like a drug, right? Let us just talk about Walter Benjamin. Work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction, 1935. Very important work, right? Remember this work. Okay. Here the key idea is aura and flaneur. Now these are the new terms that I have added in my lectures. Aura means a unique presence of an original artwork in a specific time and place. There is a unique presence of an original artwork. Just imagine that there is an artwork which is very original, For instance, we have an original painting of Mona Lisa. There is a difference. Mona Lisa in the Louvre. This is museum, right? There is a painting of Mona Lisa in a museum, right? But that painting has a different aura than Mona Lisa on your coffee mug. Then the painting of Mona Lisa on a coffee mug or in our home or in a t-shirt. But there is a difference between both the things. The original is always original. You cannot copy original. So it has a different aura. This is a word that we use, the Gen Zs use, that yes, we have some aura. Aura is nothing but the originality of a person, the authenticity of a person, right? In a specific time and place, right? Then we have flaneur, means urban wanderer who drifts through the city reading it like a text. If you are somebody who is exploring the city and just reading city like a text, if you are observing the city, for instance, when we observe a book, we observe the book, we read the work, we read the topics, we study it, right? So we are reading the city like a text. So that is flaneur, right? And Charles Baudelaire is also related to this term, right? So you tell me in the comment section how Charles Baudelaire is related to this term. So I hope you remember this. Then comes the Herbert Marcuse. Now he is also known as the father of the new left. I hope you know the left and rightist philosophy. If I say that Ram is leftist in his approach and Shyam is rightist in his approach. Now what do I mean by this? Leftist is somebody who believes in the equality and that there should be social equality. Like that the government should, give equal opportunity to all the people, equal money, equal food, and every resource to every people. That is leftist approach and leftist thinking, right? And there should be no, intervention of private companies. There should be no intervention of private companies and the government should do everything. But rightist approach is more unconventional. They says that private companies should come ahead in the help of the people, right? There should be privatization, right? There should be liberation. So that thing, like we have LPG reforms, right? So this is rightist approach. But now let us just get back to our topic. He has written a very important work which is One Dimensional Man. This is your PYQ, okay? And the key ideas here is that the advanced capitalism, the capitalism that we are having now is absorbing all opposition. That now we are just one-dimensional man. We are not 3D. We are just 1D man. How? That protest music becomes a playlist. For instance, you are somebody and you want to protest through a music. You have written a music in order to protest, right? But your music is heard by the politicians or the people, we can say, not as a sign of protest, but just as a music. Protest music becomes a playlist, right? Your protest does not matter. You cannot think you are just 1D. You cannot think, you cannot become 3D. You can just only become conformist, okay? So this is known as being one-dimensional man. People are no longer to, resist the dominant powers, the hegemony, right? So this advanced capitalism is absorbing all the opposition. There is no opposition now. Man becomes one-dimensional. No genuine critical thought left. We are not thinking anything, right? And even if we try to think anything, we cannot protest. Now let us talk about the Jürgen Habermas. Now he has written this work. This is your PYQ of UGC-NET recently in 2025. He has written a very important work, which is the structural transformation of the public sphere 1962. And the key idea here is public sphere. This public sphere was your PYQ. Okay, please remember this. So Bourdieu's public sphere. He says that the space where private people discussed public matters. In the 18th century, as you have read in the British history, that in the 18th century, in the Enlightenment era, we have had the rise of magazines, newspapers, periodicals, right? And the articles. So in those times, there used to be public sphere. We can say the coffee houses, clubs, coffee houses, and people used to sit there, right? And just talk about the public matters, like the politicians, the polity of that time, the history, right? The current affairs. They used to discuss the everyday news in those times. So it was a kind of space where private people discussed public matters. The bourgeois public sphere we used to have. But now what is happening? The print culture has created this sphere. This was the print culture. You can print magazine, newspaper, periodicals. This is known as print culture. So because of this print culture, we had this sphere. We had this place where we can discuss such topics. But now mass media has destroyed it. Now mass media has destroyed it. We are no longer interested in reading magazines, newspaper, periodicals. We are just interested in consuming the news through our phones. In order to get updated, we use what? We use YouTube, we use Twitter, or we can say we also use Insta, right? So in order to stay updated, we are using these kinds of sites, but we are not using these things until and unless we are preparing for some examination. So this is, mass media, and this mass media, as I told you, what is mass media? These are produced in the masses. So this mass media has destroyed this public sphere. Okay. Now let us just come to the CCCS. I was talking about the CCCS, but now let us just go into the detail of CCCS. So now we talked about the Frankfurt School members. That yes, Frankfurt School people were using their mind. They were looking at the system, right? They were looking at the how dominance is there, how hegemony is working, right? Who is making the rules? So they were going deeper into those things. But after these, we have in 1964, the foundation was being laid of CCCS, which is the Contemporary Center for Contemporary Culture Studies. And here the founder is, Richard Hogarth. He is the founder, right? And the director here is Stuart Hall. We will talk about Stuart Hall shortly. So this Richard Hogarth has written a work which is The Uses of Literacy 1957. This is very important work. Now, working class culture of 1950s England being damaged by mass media. He says that the 1950s England, now this England was damaged by mass media because of the pulp fiction, the magazines, the jukeboxes, the tabloids. Just search these terms. Tabloids, right? Tabloids. What is a tabloid? Is a small newspaper, like a tablet, capsule newspaper, right? So tabloids, we have jukeboxes, we have cassettes, music cassettes. So these kind of things which are produced in a mass level, at a mass level, so they are just damaging the 1950s England, which is more towards the working people. And because of these things, working class people are not getting their respect. They're not getting that much respect now. They're not getting wages that they deserve now because of these things, right? So there is this work. And he also talks about the massification is nothing but mass-produced cultural floods of working class life. Okay? And fifth is what? Gradual loss of shared community values. There used to be a community. There used to be a community. The people used to, the working class. Because our CCCS people, like we have Richard Hogarth, we have Raymond Williams. So they belonged to working class. They belong to working class, and because of this, they talk about the working class people. right? They had a sympathy towards working class people, right? And they says that now they used to have some community values. They used to sit with each other. They used to eat food together. They used to have their own unions, the working unions, right? But now everything is destroyed, right? There is a gradual, we can say slow loss of that value, of that brotherhood, of that harmony. This is known as drift, slow loss. Okay? And Richard Hogarth was also somebody who gave expert testimony in Lady Chatterley's Lover obscenity trial in 1960. This is written by D.H. Lawrence, and he said that yes, Lady Chatterley of course have obscene scenes and some vulgar element, but still this is a good work, right? So yes. Now comes the Raymond Williams. So Raymond Williams is basically Welsh Marxist critic, and he has written very important works like we have Culture and Society in 1958, we have The Long Revolution, Keywords, and Marxism and Literature. Just remember all of these works, right? So culture is ordinary, he says. There is this essay, and the name of that essay is Culture is Ordinary. And this essay was later included in this book, which is The Resources of Power, right? Just remember this fact. Now let us talk about his key ideas. He says that culture is ordinary. That is, culture is not the culture of high people, elite people, or the best people. He said that culture is the culture of the ordinary people, the working class people, the middleman, the common man. Okay, so this is the culture. He has given 3 definitions of culture, and these 3 definitions are your PYQ of UGC-NET. Okay, how will you define a culture? He says that our intellectual development that we are doing, the intellectual development that a society is, making, that is a culture. Their way of life is a culture, and the artistic works that they consume, the books that they are reading, the products that they are using, the clothes that they are eating, the kind of, we can say, theater that they are going, that is the culture. Okay, even if they are, watching the street performance and not the operas, that is the culture. In the book Keywords, he says that culture is one of the 2 or 3 most complicated words in English. Now again, this is a PYQ. He says that this is a very complicated word because you cannot define this word. What is culture? It is a very, we can say, we can interpret it in many ways, right? He also says that words like nature, society, they are also complicated. He has given the idea of structure of feeling. This means that the lived, felt, emotional texture of a historical movement, right? At a time, for instance, in 1960s, what we are feeling, there used to be a meme in which he says that kya chal raha hai? You can say India mein to fog chal raha hai na? If you remember that the fog is basically the perfume. So this is, we can say, vibe of a time, right? So the felt emotional texture of a historical movement, that is structure of feeling, right? People, they are having a feeling, same kind of feeling, all the people having same kind of feeling, that is the structure of the feeling. We have 3 kinds of structures in that. We have residual, dominant, and emergent. For instance, we have Nokia phones, the button ones, Nokia phones, keypad phones. We still have the residues of that phone. Not all the people use it, but there are still some people who use it. That is residual. Okay? That is residual. Then we have dominant one, that is dominant at this time. We have 4G and smartphones that are still dominant now, right? Most of the people use it. In emergent, we have AI, robots, right? This is emerging. We still need some more technological advancement and more progress in this section, that is emergent. Okay, so we have these kinds of culture. Let us talk about E.P. Thompson. E.P. Thompson may just, you have to remember this work, The Making of English Working Class 1963. Just remember this work, okay? And in this he says that the working class was not simply created by industrial capitalism. That ऐसा नहीं है कि जो working class है, this is just created by the industrial capitalism. Working class people have their own agency and lived experience. That even working class matter करती है. Okay, it was present at its own making through culture because they have their own tradition. Working class people have their own culture, they have their own tradition, they have their own political struggles, they make their own union, they have their own festivals, they have their own culture, they have their own liking and preferences. So working class people have their own agency, means freedom to take decisions. They have their own experiences, and all of these things matter. So the making of English working class, right? And working class is not simply created by your capitalism and industries or the people of aristocratic society. Let us talk about Stuart Hall a bit, Jamaican critic, and he was the director of CCCS from 1968 to 79. And I discussed about the later director of CCCS, Richard Johnson. He was the director of CCCS after Stuart Hall. Remember this, okay? And he's also known as the godfather of multiculturalism. Just remember this. And his post-Gramscian is somebody who follows the idea of Antonio Gramsci. Basically, his idea of hegemony. What is hegemony? Is rule by consent, right? For instance, Britishers came to India to do the trade with us. East India Company came into India to do the trading as a business partner. But what they did, they took our consent that yes, we will educate you, we will give you trains, we will give you technology, and we said yes to them. Okay, you can do this to us. But what they did, they came, took the administration and made the colony, right? So this is rule by consent. He has written the important books like Encoding, Decoding, very important. Please remember, Policing the Crisis. And this is an autobiography, Familiar Stranger. So please remember this one, right? And this one. And this you can remember. This can be a question that can be formed now. Okay. Let us talk about his ideas. Encoding, decoding. Encoding means the producer encodes a message. For instance, I have a TV and I have to show a news to you on the TV, and I'm a journalist, right? So what I will do, I will encode that news, encode that message through this TV to the people, to the audience. Okay, I have encoded that news, encoded that message. Okay, and the audience and the people who are watching this news, they will, what they will do, they will decode this message. They will understand this message. So I am the encoder and the people are the decoder. So this encoding, decoding happens. Okay, just remember these two things. So he has given this media theory. He is famous for his media theory, that how media works. Media encodes a message and people decode it. Audience decodes it. And audience decodes a message by three ways. Producers encode meaning and audience decode in three ways. Through three techniques we decode. First is the dominant, negotiated and oppositional. In the dominant one, what will happen, that you will accept the news as it is. That yes, this is true and you agree. In the negotiated one, you will 50% agree, but 50% you will not agree, right? You will raise some questions that, okay, I accept this news, but there are still some gaps that has to be filled. And then we have oppositional reading. Oppositional means saying no to the news altogether. That no, this news is wrong. That is oppositional reading on the part of audience. In the policing the crisis, he gives the idea of moral panic. What is moral panic means? That media exaggerated black youth crime mugging to distract from other issues. This we are seeing nowadays in our media from last 5 to 6 years, I would say. Our TV news channels just focus on the profit making. They not let you see the news which is actually important. They are just exaggerating everything and creating the moral panic that Pakistan is our enemy and they will attack, and for that we have to build our defense system, right? So if you will watch this kind of news 24/7, imagine what will happen to your mind. You will become like an enemy of Pakistan, right? So this is, this is known as creating moral panic. A problem that do not exist. You are creating a problem that do not actually exist, right? So this is moral panic. So media used to exaggerate that black youth in America will, commit some crime. This crime, the mugging, we call it. Mugging means to attack somebody. And they always used to talk about this thing. And thus they distracted the people from the other issues like unemployment, inequality. So our media news channels never talks about the that we are seeing in the India right now, but the other issues like the issues of religion, the fight, and always comparing with the nations that are not doing much good, right? So this I have taken just an example. Okay, so yes, now let us talk about new ethnicities. This is Black British identity is hybrid. New ethnicities means that we are always hybrid. There are new ethnicities that are coming. There is a mixture. Like we have Black plus British, right? So this is become a new ethnicity, new identity based on the ethnicity. Right? So we have diverse and we are not fixed. Our identity is not fixed now. This is hybrid, mix or mixture of two. Thatcherism is basically Margaret Thatcher was the PM of UK, right? The Iron Lady of UK, we can say. For instance, we have Indira Gandhi in India. So Thatcherism's policy, Margaret Thatcher used to have policy of privatization and free trade and no intervention of government, laissez-faire philosophy, basically the philosophy that we have seen in the by James Bounderby, if I guess right, in the Hard Times of Charles Dickens. So Thatcherism believed that private companies should come ahead and government should not interfere in the market affairs, in the making the policies. So Thatcherism. But this Stuart Hall was against this policy because he was leftist, as I told you. And he coined the Great Moving Right Show. This means that the policies are moving in the right show. I told you the rightist approach, that the policies are becoming rightist and moving towards the right. Right? So this is Thatcherism. You will remember all these concepts. Do not get tensed, right? After listening to this video, after watching this video, just watch this video again. Okay, do not watch this video at 2x or 1.5x. I recommend you. If you want clear basics, please pay some attention. Watch this video again and try to recall all these concepts that I'm telling you and relate it with the word. You can have your own examples as well. Okay, and you can also buy our notes if you want to read all of these terms and ideas, the critiques, right? I will talk about the notes in the later part of this video. You can buy them and they are available at a really affordable price. You can update them, you can get them printed and you can update them by writing on these notes, right? And you can use them for any English literature examination. Okay. I have covered 74 plus cultural critiques in those notes after the analyzing of previous year questions of UGC-NET English, and they are in an updated form, right? Okay, so this is Thatcherism, and also there is a journal, New Left Review. Okay, please Google this journal. Let's talk about Angela McRobbie is a feminist. Is a feminist, and there was a recent question from the 3 essays of Angela McRobbie. I just forgot to mention those 3 essays. So for Angela McRobbie, these are the 3 books that you need to remember, because Angela McRobbie, we had a recent question in our UGC-NET examination. Okay, Girls and Subcultures. We have Jackie, An Ideology of Adolescent Femininity, and Feminism and Youth Culture. Okay. So please remember this fact that she talks of feminism, she talks of youth. Okay, this is your PYQ of UGC-NET. Okay, there was this question that which analyst combined dimensions of youth culture with culture theory. Okay, this was your 2019 UGC-NET question. Please remember this. Okay, so for Angela McRobbie, there was also a question of 3 essays, and those 3 essays were written by Angela McRobbie. Right? Please go through them for once. So let us talk about the ideas of Angela. Now this magazine, there was a magazine called Jackie to Just 17. There was this magazine, and this Angela McRobbie says that this magazine gave 4 subcodes to the girls. That girls, you need to follow these 4 rules, right? If you want to be feminine, you have to follow these rules. You have to follow the code of romance. What do we mean by the code of romance? Code of romance means that your purpose in life is to have a romantic relationship with the man. And code of personal and domestic life, that you have to be domestic, you have to do the housework, right? And you should not indulge yourself into the goals, into the career, or have no ambitions or your indulgence in politics. So nothing like this should be there. And you have to follow the fashion and beauty in order to look beautiful, right? You have to decorate your body but not your mind. And you have to listen the pop music if you want to stay, we can say, if you want to become friends with the people of your age, right? You have to follow the trends, the pop music. And she found them so wrong. All of these ideas are so wrong. Even I found them so wrong. Okay. So because this triple CS was focusing on the men, the working class, but nobody was talking about the female and girls. So McRobbie thought that we should talk about the female also. She has also given the ideas like post-feminism, double entanglement, girly feminism. Now they have not asked, NET has not asked you these ideas yet, but yes, this time they can ask you. So post-feminism is basically a media constructed idea that feminism is finished, that feminism, you have achieved the feminism, that there used to be a time when feminism was not there and you were demanding equal rights for the man and woman, but now we have given the equal rights to everyone, and now please stop fighting and we should end this feminism here because we have achieved it already, right? So this was post, but actually this did not happen, and this was a media created narrative. This was a false narrative that they created. There is nothing like post feminism. We have not achieved this yet, but because you are telling that you have achieved, and so we have to end it. Then we have double entanglement, means that culture is at this empowering us, culture is empowering us, but at the same time it is reinforcing what? Traditional femininity. For instance, just think that there is a law student who have a insecurity. She's a girl, she's a girl and she's a very educated law student, but she have a insecurity because she does not look good, and in order to look good she has to go through the plastic surgery. So this is known as double entanglement, that you are empowering us by educating us, but at the same time you are reinforcing that without plastic surgeries and the beauty things that we see nowadays, so without this you cannot empower yourself. So this is known as double entanglement. दोनों तरफ से फंसा देना इसको कह सकते हैं. And then we have girly feminism, means that we should embrace our girly feminism. We should embrace makeup, we should embrace bold red lipstick, right? And we should embrace everything, and this is our free personal choice. Okay, so these are the ideas that she has given. Now let us talk about the Laura Mulvey. Now, Laura Mulvey is a feminist film theorist, and there is this Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema, 1975. This was an essay published in the journal Screen. Please remember this journal. Screen is related to Laura Mulvey. Please remember this. And then there is this book. The key idea here is, wait a second. The key idea here is male gaze. What is male gaze? Classical Hollywood structures three gazes to objectify women, that whenever we watch a TV, we watch music, we watch movies and TV ads. So we see that woman is always objectified. Woman is always like an object. She is an object, and that object needs to be beautiful. That object needs to be appealing, because for instance, if I'm buying a pen, then that pen should look beautiful, that pen should look appealing, that pen should wear this color, that pen should be very appealing so that I can buy it. So like an object, we are considering woman. So woman is being objectified in the media. For instance, we see Bollywood. That is the reason I stopped watching Bollywood movies. On a personal note, I'm telling you, I do not watch Bollywood movies or any of the movies. It's been 4 or 5 years. I just watch the other kinds of movies that give some lessons to learn. So classical Hollywood movies used to objectify women, and there should be three gazes. What is gaze? Means to look on someone. Gaze means to look upon someone. So first is camera is looking at the heroine. How camera looks at you? We see in the Hollywood, Bollywood item songs, the camera is always focusing on the, we can say the private parts of the actress. Why we make it appealing? Why we make it in a sensual way? This is done deliberately and intentionally. This is the cameras is intentionally focusing on those angles, right? We are just conformists. We are passive. We say yes to these kinds of songs. and we talk that, oh, itna acha gana hai ye, but we never talk about these things. Then there is male character's gaze within the film. There is also in the item songs we see that the one actress is there, she is dancing in a very cheap clothes, I would say, and then there is a hero who is looking at her. Then there is the gaze of that male. First there is the gaze of camera, then we have the gaze of a male, and then we have spectator's gaze. Who is this spectator? Assumed male. Just imagine now this is a TV and you are watching this song. So here you are spectator, and here we are assuming that you're also male. So then there is your gaze, that how you are looking at this song, right? So this is known as male gaze, right? And in all the three gauges, the woman is being objectified and she does not know. And even she, if she knows, there is the term, there is looked at ness. She is happy because she is being looked at. She's being happy in that state. So men are here the active agents driving narrative. So this whole narrative is driven by man, the male gaze. Okay. So this is Laura Mulvey. Okay. And there was a recent question on the tourist gaze also. Tell me in the comment section who is related to this tourist gaze. Okay, now we have John Fiske, is basically a British American person, and he studied under Raymond Williams at Cambridge. Okay, and he is related to the TV culture. He is related to the TV culture. And the important books are here. We have Reading Television, First Semiotic Analysis of TV tha ye, and Understanding Popular Culture. Okay, so TV culture and popular culture. He has given us three ideas: polysemy, semiotic democracy, and producerly text. Polysemy means that TV texts are open. What do we mean by this? That TV is a like text. As I told you that you have to understand the TV, the programs that you're watching, like you understand a book. So they are open to various interpretations. Okay, they are open. 1,000 people, 1,000 interpretations. Okay, so this is known as polysemy. Means poly means multiple, semi means meaning. We have semantics. Semiotic democracy means that we have the freedom to vote, freedom to express our views, freedom to do whatever we want. So semiotic means that we have the freedom to make meanings. Okay, ordinary people have the freedom to make their own meaning. I can interpret one movie in my own way. Another person can interpret that movie in another way. That is known as semiotic democracy. And then he talks of producerly text. Producerly text means that producerly text, like there is a movie and I watched that movie, but I made a review of that movie. I made a YouTube video of the review of that movie. So what I did, through that text, I produced another thing. So this is known as a producerly text, right? This is known as a producerly text, right? If I write an article on this movie, if I write a review of this movie, if I upload behind the scenes of that movie, okay, so this is producerly text. Let us talk about Pierre Bourdieu now. And he has written these two books, Distinction, a Social Critique of the Judgment, and A Field of Cultural Production. So Pierre Bourdieu, we had a recent question from the Pierre Bourdieu. So he has given this term habitus, cultural capital, field, and distinction means that we always make distinctions between the two. If I say that I read Shakespeare, but you read what? You read pulp fiction, simple magazines that are not literary canons. So what I did, here I used but. I made a distinction, I made a difference, right? This is known as distinction. That in a society, in a culture, we are the one who makes distinction. Then we have cultural, wait a second, then we have habitus means that this is an internalized social dispositions acquired unconsciously through socialization. There are some things like we have taste, manners, ways of thinking that we acquire unconsciously. We do not know when we acquire. We do not go to the university, college or classes to learn these taste, manners, ways of thinking. We always absorb them. We do not choose them. We absorb them from our family, from our environment, right? So this is known as habitus. What is cultural capital is related to money. Okay, cultural capital means the culture behaves like a money. How? This is a non-economic resources giving social advantage. We have three kinds of culture capital. First is embodied, the accent that you are learning. If you have a British accent in India, then if you go to the companies who are dealing with the international clients of UK or USA or American accent, then it is a embodied capital for you, because this will help you in getting the job, in getting hired in the job, and you will get a good job and package. So this is embodied capital. If you know some manners, if you have objectified capital, objectified means that you have the books, you have the art. Just consider a situation where you are preparing for UGC-NET, but you are not having the books. So if you're not having the books, how will you read? So if you have them, so this is also a kind of advantage, is not always in the kind of money. So this is also a kind of money for you. Objectified in the form of an object. Then we have institutionalized. If you have a degree from IIT, if you have a degree from recognized university like DU, JNU, then of course you will get some preference while getting hired in the job. So that is institutionalized capital. Field is structured social space with its own rules. So there is this field, okay. Now, for instance, this is a field of fashion, okay. So this field have its own rules, that you have to be zero figure, you have to always look good, right? You have to always look slim, you have to be tall, right? So there is this space that is structured and it has its own rules. Like we have art field, academic field, fashion field. So this is known as field. So these are the concepts given by Pierre Bourdieu. Now let us talk about the Marshall McLuhan. Now Marshall McLuhan is a Canadian critic and media theorist. And he is also known as the prophet of the media age, because he predicts internet, that in which direction internet is going. He has written these works. Please remember the names: The Mechanical Bride, Gutenberg Galaxy, Understanding Media, The Extensions of Man, and the medium is the message, or we can say massage. I will explain you the word. Here massage is typed citer's error that McLuhan kept deliberately. McLuhan said that the title of my book is The Medium is the Message. But what happens is that the typewriter typed it as the massage. Okay. So then he intentionally kept it that no, yes, this is also working, because the medium is also a kind of massage. The TV, the news channels that you're watching, they give you massage. How they give you massage? Because they affect our thinking. Massage do. Massage stimulates our senses. So TV also stimulates our senses now. The medium is the message. The channel shapes understanding more than the content. The medium is more important than the message. He says that the medium is more important, right? For instance, you are reading a news. There are two kinds. First is you are reading the news from the newspaper. And second, you can get about the news. You can analyze that news from a TV channel. So the difference, there would be difference between the two. In the newspaper, it would be very simple, factual based, information based. But in the TV, it would be in a dramatic format. The news, a journalist is screaming, oh, ladai ho rahi hai, ye wo, theek hai? So here the TV journalist is screaming, making it dramatic, using different animations, right? Different colors, like we have YouTube thumbnails, right? So there would be difference between the two. So here the medium matters, not the message. So the medium itself is the message. Then we have hot and cool media. This is also all your PYQs. Okay, all are the PYQs. High definition. Hot media is a high definition. Because it has high definition, right? It has low participation. If this have high definition, that it means hot. You can remember in this way. Because something is hot and it already have high definition, already have some content, it means that you need not to participate. This means low participation is there. For instance, if we watch film, already has so many things, so many elements, lectures have, photos have. So we do not actively participate. But in the cool media, this is low definition. And that is why we need high participation. Okay? We have TV, phone calls, seminars. This is the cool media. He also talks of the global village, that now world has become a global village because internet has connected all of us. It's like a small village. We can talk to anyone. If we are sitting in India, we can talk to a person who is sitting in Australia, right? This whole world has now become a small village and global village. Media is extension. Wheel extends the food. Here he means that the human is extending its senses. How? This means that if my foot cannot go to Australia in a day, but wheels can go. I can go through the trains, I can go through the aeroplanes. Okay. Books extends the eyes. Okay, book extends the eyes, and internet extends the nervous system, because at a single place we can sit and watch movies, we can hear, listen to the songs, we can experience so many things, right? Now let us talk about the Paul Duguay and Stuart Hall et al. This is et al. Means this is a PYQ of UGC-NET English, where they give you the abbreviations of these terms and you have to match with their meaning. Et al. Means and others. Okay, so there was this circuit of culture which was made, this circuit was made by Paul Duguay and Stuart Hall. Okay, just remember this thing, and they have written this book, Doing Culture Studies, the story of the Sony Walkman. Kya hai? This is a kind of music cassette. Okay, a portable music cassette. You can listen to the music anywhere with the cassette. So they have given this circuit of culture, and in this circuit of culture we have 5 moments. We have taken the example of iPhone. Let us just understand this. If you have to understand any cultural object, for instance, we have iPhone, then we have to study the iPhone from moments, from 3 point of view, we can say. And these are, 5 point of view, these are the 5 point of views. First is, you have to, for instance, if I am selling you an iPhone, who is selling you? Who is producing? The Foxconn company? So first, you should ask who is producing. Secondly, you have to see for whom we are producing it. For whom we are producing it. I am producing the phone, and there can be Android users and Apple users. So who will buy the iPhone? Obviously the Apple users. So what is their identity? Here the Apple user is their identity, right? So this we look at. Also, how I will produce it. I have to make some advertisements, ads I will use, right? How I am representing my phone, right? Through the ads. So this is the how. Consumption. How it will be consumed. Some people can use iPhone for studying purpose. Some can use it for TikTok. Some can use it for selfies, right? For video shoot. So that is consumption. And regulations. Who is regulating? Laws. Who is banning the iPhones in the school? The laws related to the iPhone. So that is regulation. So if you want to study any cultural object, any object in our culture, then study from these point of views, right? This is known as the circuit of culture. This is given by Paul Duguay and Stuart Hall. And now we have the last culture critic, that is Ziauddin Sardar, and British Pakistani hai cultural critic, and is Britain's own Muslim polymath. He is known. Who is polymath? Tell me in the comment section. He has written these 3 books. Please look at them. And please remember Orientalism, Icon Books, 1999 in Likhit. Basically, he talks about the postmodern a lot. Okay, he has given a key idea of institutionalization of cultural studies. Now, basically, why I have included Ziauddin Sardar in the last? Because we have seen that culture studies started from the rejection of the best ideas, literary canons, great traditions, right? From the high culture, elite class. So culture studies was against all of these things. But what is happening now? Culture studies began as a radical dissenting tradition. It was radical. It was rejecting everything strictly outside academia, because this was not academic when it came. When culture studies came, it was not academic. People just used to talk. There was no books written. The paper were not written. There used to be no conferences. But now the goal was just to expose power structures. But as it entered universities, it got absorbed into the very establishment it once critiqued. Now it absorbed into this system itself. Now there are multiple books in the culture studies. Now there are multiple conferences in the culture studies. Now people are doing PhD in the culture studies. So it has become an academia, and through the academia, through that system, again there is an hegemon. So it is a self-reflexive critique of the discipline itself. So Ziauddin Sardar says that culture studies का क्या हो गया है? Institutionalization हो गया है. ये भी एक institution बन गया है. ठीक है? ऐसा institution जो खुद institutions को कहीं ना कहीं से क्या कर रहा था? It was exposing the institutions, but now it itself has become the kind of, a part of this power structure, a part of the system. Okay? So this is Ziauddin Sardar. So I hope you have liked this lecture. Notes. You can get 74 plus cultural critiques. I have discussed so many cultural critiques now. You can easily eliminate the questions in the examination hall. And if you want to go deeper and go through every culture critique that UGC-NET has asked till now, and I have covered 15 themes there and 74 critiques, so you can get this note. And yes, these are the most organized notes, and I have included the 60 plus PYQs also critique wise, you will get them. Okay, so you can get these notes. And we also have the mega pack. In this mega pack, you can have all these English in India, Indian literature. Yes, Indian literature, these are the capsule notes, and linguistics detail, culture studies detail, history of literature, history of British literature, capsule notes, and this is also in the detail English in India. So you can all get all these 5 notes at a very affordable price, right? And how you will buy this? You have to just WhatsApp on this number and you will get them within minutes. You can get them printed and you can start your study, right? Because we know that paper is becoming more analytical in nature. So literature to karna hi hai, but साथ में focus should be on the smaller units, right? Because smaller units will help you get through the cutoff of NET or maybe the JRF, right? So yes, this is all for today. Thanks and all the best for your exams, and subscribe to our channel if you want more such videos. Thank you, and please rewatch this class again and make your notes, right? And you can also do some of the research on your own.